Hey everyone, Duke here, and today we are making the ultimate guide to the Hollowed Lair Grandmaster Nightfall for Season of the Lost. This is the first time this Nightfall has ever been a Grandmaster, and it's proving to be quite a challenging one. However, after putting in quite a few hours and theory crafting some strategies, I've got some tips, tricks, and strategies that will hopefully help you get your clear and start working towards the Conqueror seal for this season. Starting off with the basics. Hollowed Lair has Overload and Unstoppable champions, as well as Arc and Solar shields. There aren't a ton of shields, just a few sprinkled throughout, but you definitely want to be able to break those shields quickly with the match game modifier heavily limiting all non-matching damage to shields. I personally ran Stasis Warlock for this GM, playing mostly towards my turret. The super has some great value in the boss room, but the turret is extremely strong throughout the strike. I would recommend running the Ice Flare Bolts aspect to go along with the Bleak Watcher turret, as this will allow for even more chain freeze when shattering frozen targets. There are a number of fragments that can give great value with this subclass as well, but a few that I would personally recommend considering are Torment, Hedrons, Fissures, and Durance. Refraction is another solid option to get Rift energy, especially if you pair it with the Bomber class item mod, as this will allow for your Rift to give back a significant chunk of grenade energy, leading to even more turrets. I would also recommend running High Recovery, as I would in all PvE activities, as well as High Discipline if focusing your build around your grenade. My other two teammates for this GM ran Chaos Reach Warlock and Bottom Tree Sunbreaker Titan. My personal recommendations for this GM, depending on the class that you main, are either Stasis or Chaos Reach for Warlock, Stasis or Night Stalker for Hunter, and Sunbreaker or Sentinel Titans. I would also recommend that you pick two aggressive and slaying type supers, with one supporting super if possible, just due to the amount of adds that will swarm you fast if you don't take them down quickly, especially in the boss room. I tried a number of different loadouts for this Nightfall, but the one I kept coming back to was Ignition Code with Blinding Grenades in my kinetic slot, Tiku's Divination as my energy, and Threaded Needle as my heavy. Tiku's will cover the solar shields as well as overload stuns with the Overload Bow mod, while Threaded Needle covers unstoppable champions with Unstoppable Fusion, and has enough oomph to be able to more easily clear out important priority targets in a pinch, such as a champion or pesky enemy sniper. Some other weapons that I would consider are Witherhoard, which was especially nice for the mini-screebs I will mention in a bit, snipers or linear fusion rifles. Lawrence Driver did a lot of work for us, Laymon Arc, Trinity Ghoul, or any legendary bow, especially with Vorpal Weapon, Vex Mythoclast, Anarchy, and a number of machine guns or rocket launcher heavy options, depending on which types of shield break you may still need for the team. For exotic armor choices, there's a number of class-specific type ones such as Geomags or Omnioculus, but one exotic I would urge you to not forget about are the Aeon exotics. If running Sect of Insight, you'll be able to finish champions in order to get more heavy for your teammates. It may not be a necessity or a choice for everyone, but don't forget that it exists as an option. And finally, for mods, there is an absolute laundry list of useful mods that I could mention, but here's the top priorities. First, make sure you're running the correct champion mods on your gloves. This is obvious. If you're not doing that, you're going to notice real quick, but I'm throwing it in. Second, ensure that your helmet has ammo finders for the special and heavy weapons that you are using, along with your boots having the respective scavenger mods. And third, I would highly recommend running one concussive dampener and one arc resistance on your chest piece. There is a lot of fire, explosions, and other AoE effects in this strike, so concussive dampener is going to come in clutch. And arc resist will allow you to tank a shot from the boss's snipe in the boss room as long as you're at full health, which can be absolutely crucial to survival and getting the clear. The final two mods I'd like to talk about are Taking Charge and Protective Light, where Taking Charge will allow any orbs you pick up within the strike to give you Charge with Light, which then will allow Protective Light to proc whenever your health gets low and give you that extra survivability you need. There are two things you will want to keep a very close eye on for the entirety of the strike. First, there is a strike modifier that causes all of the stalkers in the strike to spawn mini screebs when they are defeated. This is so troll, it's not even funny. But these are going to be one of the biggest threats, and one of these mini-screebs can very easily insta-kill you if you don't keep track of their spawns after killing a stalker. Secondly, there's a number of explosive barrels throughout the strike. Make sure to blow these up before going near them, and know that there's also a few places where you can actually use them to your advantage by blowing them up and causing damage to the enemies around them. Now let's get into running the strike itself. I'm going to break down each room and the main things you want to focus on as you go through the rooms. As you come around the corner into the first strike specific area, you will have some sporadic adds coming out the door close to you, as well as a bit further back, but your main threat here is going to be the Unstoppable to the right. Stay back a bit before giving the Unstoppable an angle on you in order to clear out these adds, and then focus the Unstoppable as a team once it's alone. If it does happen to push you a bit earlier, just make sure to stun it and take it down if it gets too close. The second half of this room is going to have a few snipers near the back by the door, along with some more adds, as well as an overload in the middle. Make sure to take out the snipers first, this will be a reoccurring theme throughout the entirety of the strike, and proceed to take out any remaining adds, and then finally the overload. I would suggest taking a quick shot at the overload just to stun it while taking on a few of the other adds, as that will relieve some of the pressure it may otherwise put on you. Onto the second room, stay near where you first go in the door and take out any enemies you can see while taking shots at the mini-boss. Stay back here until the mini-boss is down, where you can then push up and be ready to take on 2 Unstoppable champions, along with some extra enemies. Other than the Unstoppable, and anything that outright rushes you, your main focus will want to be at the upper left balcony area, where a sniper will be sitting and can easily take your fire team down if you're unprepared for it. After fighting through a few more basic enemies, you'll be on to the tank room. In the tank room, there will be an Unstoppable and Overload champion near the pressure plate in the middle of the room when you first get there, along with a few stalkers. Also keep an eye out for a sniper on the far left and far right side of the room. Again, those snipers can take out your team very easily, so getting them down ASAP is going to be key. Once all of these enemies are down, stand on the plate to spawn more enemies, including the spider tank and 2 Unstoppable champions, one on the left and one on the right far sides of the room. The main focus to start is going to be on the non-tank enemies, again especially the snipers on the left and right sides. Also make sure to keep your head on a swivel, as there will be a number of adds that push up on you, including a few stalkers that will spawn mini-screebs when killed, so keep your focus up for those. Note that throughout this room, the tank will shoot out homing missiles that can lock on to you and your teammates, so make sure to always have cover between you and the tank. Honestly, this attack is less threatening than it looks, at least, as long as you have cover, but you still definitely don't want to get hit by multiple of the bursts. After all of the basic enemies and Unstoppables are defeated, start chipping away at the tank. The tank is, well, tanky, so take your time and pepper in the damage. Once a leg is broken, a bubble shield will come up and you will only be able to damage it from inside of that bubble. We found that just staying back and waiting for the shield to go away worked best for us and kept us out of any danger. Once the shield goes away, there will be another set of adds to deal with. Once those adds are dead, go back to chipping the tank down. Rinse and repeat until the tank is destroyed. In the transition room on the way to the double pressure plate room, there will be an Unstoppable and some basic enemies. Take out the Unstoppable and watch out for the mini-screebs from the stalkers to move on to the pressure plates. This pressure plate room honestly isn't as bad as I thought it may be, but boy can it be a tedious one. My number one tip is to stay back, take your time, and always clear out all enemies before moving on to the next part of the room. When you first come into the room, there will be a number of stalkers, continue to watch out for the mini-screebs, as well as 2 overloads. Take out the non-overloads first if you can, and then progress to take on the overload champions one at a time. From there, you will want to send one person to step on one of the pressure plates. You can do this a bit faster than I decided to do it, but the safest way is going to be to get off of the plate the second you see the ads start spawning, and go back to your team where you first came into the room. Take out all of the ads that spawned, and then repeat this process until both plates have been completed. Also note that in between the 2 plates going down, after the first plate is down and all of the enemies have been defeated, this is a great time to push out into the room and grab either orbs or ammo that you may need before starting the second plate. Once both plates are completely done, the Vengeful Hand will spawn with a bunch more ads. This mini-boss is like ridiculously tanky. I'm pretty sure he's literally tankier than the final boss, but as long as you stay towards the back of the room, you will be quite safe. Even more so if running arc resist, so that if he does happen to hit you with a snipe shot, you will be plenty healthy. Continue to take out the ad spawns as its HP gets lower, and note that there will be 2 overloads that spawn in as its HP drops. If they do decide to play nice, you can take out these overloads before finishing off the mini-boss, but otherwise just take the mini-boss out first, and then proceed to take out any other sporadic ads and then the overloads one at a time afterwards before venturing forwards. In this final transition area to the boss, there will be 2 snipers across the fans that you will want to take out very quickly, along with a few basic enemies up on you. As you get across the fans, there will also be an overload to take out as well. Once all of these enemies are defeated, it will spawn a bunch of enemies up on the bridge, including 2 unstoppables, as well as 2 snipers in the back. A super and/or stasis turret will be super duper useful to slay out these enemies pushing down the bridge, and keep the unstoppables locked down. But you're still going to want at least one person to focus down these snipers, so again, as I've mentioned multiple times, the team doesn't get one shot unsuspectingly. Continue to focus down the unstoppables as they push, and make your way to the final boss room. The boss room is definitely going to be the most difficult part of this Nightfall, but there are a number of tips to make it more manageable. As with the plates room, make sure to always take this fight one step at a time. Always kill all of the enemies before pushing the Fanatic to the next phase. The main mechanic is to avoid the arc lightning on the ground. This should be pretty obvious, and if you've run the strike before, you've seen it, but this mechanic is pretty telegraphed as well, with a reasonable amount of time in order to be able to run out of it, but even one quick second of losing focus could mean an instant death. Note that this mechanic is not active when the boss is despawned from the room. Damage the boss slowly until the first set of ads spawn on the right side of the room. Take out these ads and continue to whittle down the boss until it spawns its second set of ads on the left side of the room. Personally, I like to play near the right side of the room for pretty much the entirety of the first part of this fight. Continue to push damage onto the boss until it goes immune. From here, a huge number of ads will spawn from the back of the room. If possible, try to have supers prepared for this spawn. Again, you can even wait until you push the boss to get some supers up, just wait for your supers to go. I like to stand personally once we're ready near the spawn door you came in to keep the ads funneling mostly straight down the middle of the room, but make sure to keep your eye on the left side, the right side. Usually a couple ads will try to loop around you. You will definitely want to decide the order to pop your supers in to be able to slay these ads out. There will be 2 sets of ad spawns, so if you can have 1 super for each spawn, and then the 3rd super as backup if needed, this will be your best setup for success. There will also be an overload champion that comes out with these ads, so make sure to keep it either stunned or frozen constantly, as it likes to be extremely aggressive and can be very lethal. Once all the little ads are dead and you're down to just the overload, you can keep it stunned and/or again frozen, and trade aggro if needed to allow people to pick up ammo that all those other ads dropped, and take a quick breather before the next part of the fight. After taking down the overload, the boss will come back into the room. Once it is pushed into its next immune phase, it will start the pull-in mechanic. A huge tip I have for this, as you start to notice your screen change colors, you will want to backpedal. This momentum will actually transfer over to when you get teleported to the pull and allow you for more time to break the shield. Make sure to break the shield as quickly as you can still, using heavy if needed, and if anyone's running a rocket actually should one-shot it, but again, team shotting should be just fine, and then get back to cover. Next, another set of ads will spawn on the left side of the room. Take those out and continue to slowly pepper down the boss. Once the Fanatic goes immune again, you'll get pulled in for the second time. Follow the same tips as last time to get past this part. This next set of ads will then again be on the right side of the room. Take those out, continue to damage the boss, and get ready for the second set of what I like to call Rambo ads from the far side of the room. Like last time, if you can wait for supers before pushing the boss here, that will put you in the best position to succeed. This part was honestly probably the most difficult part of the boss room for our runs, so get ready to slay out. This time there will be 3 sets of ads that come in, with the 3rd set having an unstoppable abomination included in it. Like last time, try to stagger out your supers to slay out as many of the adds as you possibly can. Also, make sure to keep an eye out for any wayward adds that try to come in from the left or right paths, just like I mentioned last time, rather than rushing you down the middle, and continue to always watch out for mini-screebs spawning from the stalkers. If you manage to get past these 3 waves of adds, you are super duper close. You're almost there. The boss will be back in the room and you will want to very slowly do damage. The boss will then go immune and spawn in adds on the right side of the room about the same time as pulling you in for the 3rd time. Break out quickly and be ready to slay out these adds on the right side. Continue to slowly damage the boss until it goes immune for the final time. How many times has it been by now? Like 57? Here you will get pulled in for the 4th time, as well as have some adds to the left side of the room. Again, make sure you use the backpedal trick, break out of the tether quickly, and slay out any stray enemies. One last potentially life-saving tip is that if you have your super up at any part while getting pulled in, you can use your super to instantly and immediately get untethered and drop to the ground. This can be very useful in a pinch, or especially if some of these adds get aggressive before you're able to break out of a tether at any point. From here, just focus down the Fanatic until it's defeated, and you will get your loot as well as be one step closer to the Conqueror Seal for this season. I hope this video was helpful and helps as many Guardians as possible slay out the Fanatic and get revenge for the insane amount of times this boyo goes immune. As always, I appreciate your time for watching, and have a wonderful day.